Now, the truth is, most of you guys have very little technical skill, and the biggest career liability you have is your lack of hard skill. To be a modern day superhero, you must be the idiot in the room. Stop nodding when you don't know what is being talking about. Ask questions and dig deeper. A big misconception is thinking that acquiring a certificate would impart hard skills. Stop collecting paper. It is time to start embracing projects which truly add the hard skills. So I want to thank everybody that has been following this podcast, and we're growing, and I really appreciate. And if you have not joined the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and then you can also share this podcast with someone that you know that can benefit from it. Thank you very much. Okay, welcome everybody. All right, so we're continuing our discussion on becoming a serial winner, and today we are focusing on the foundation for professional excellence, and that is learning hard skills. However, I'm going to read out to you the episode outcome. By the end of this episode, you will learn the exact 6-step formula I used to acquire high-value hard skills, turning you from a generalist into a modern-day professional superhero who can literally use your technical proficiency as your superpower. Now, the first thing I want us to be fully focused on now is that you need to acquire hard skills before soft skills. And then the question you'll be asking is, so what are hard skills? Now, think about it this way. For the work you're doing, HR, CRM, sales, hard skills will be the technical abilities to execute a specific job role. Examples of hard skills will fall under learning how to use a software or a tool within your job, executing a process within the job, producing an output or an outcome within your job role. So those technical work that you do would fall under hard skills. Now, I'm going to give you an example of the hard skills that we're going to look at, and there are quite a number that I want us to look at here. So let's look at, for example, human resource. Hard skills will be labor law compliance, payroll or benefits administration, HR data analytics, sales, CRM software proficiency. Example, it could be use of Salesforce or HubSpot, prospecting techniques, negotiation and closing strategies, sales forecasting. Marketing. Hard skills could be SEO or SEM management, Google Analytics, CMS proficiency in WordPress, email marketing software using MailChimp or A/B testing, data analyst, programming language, use of Python, R, SQL database, querying data visualization tools like Tableau or Power BI, or statistical analysis. CRM management, CRM platform administration and customization, data management or migration, workflow automation, reporting and analytics. Facility management. Example of hard skills will be building systems knowledge, HVAC, project management software usage, budget or cost analysis, then safety or OSHA compliance. Catering management, inventory or supply chain management, food safety compliance or certification, or menu design. Now, to excel in your career, you need to develop your hard skills. Now, the truth is, if you listen to all that I've listed, you'll come to realize that you don't have sufficient hard skills. And what that means is that your true superpower as a professional is to develop your hard skills. So what are soft skills? Soft skills are non-technical abilities that we use in maybe teams or interpersonal relationships. Now they are good to have, especially when you are in a leadership role. There are things like communication, leadership, problem solving, time management. Now, why I'm not going to focus on soft skills is because they are a lot easier to acquire. Now, so what you need to understand is that a combination of a very strong hard skill set combined with soft skills would make you an excellent and proficient professional in any domain of work. So your task that I'm going to leave you with on this is you're going to make a research on the hard skill required for your profession. When you make that research, you're going to list out all the hard skills. If you remember our last discussion, which was on purpose, the acquisition of that hard skill becomes your purpose for the next 2 years. Now, to build your hard skill, one of the things I'll tell you to start with is to take a course. And taking a course, what it does for you is that it will provide you a wide discipline of that domain. You have a better understanding of that domain, and then it provides them direction and a pathway for you to develop. Some of us usually underplay or downplay the idea of enrolling for a course. It gives you the foundation for what you need to do. Okay? If you are taking a course, I would recommend strongly that you take an instructor-led course if you are just starting that hard skill. The reason being is an instructor-led course, what it does is that the instructor helps you to answer questions and then provides guidance for you. If you know that you have a high level of discipline, an extremely high level of discipline, and then you know that you are someone that can start something and finish it, then I can recommend you can take a self-paced course. But if you don't have a high level of discipline, please do not attempt a self-paced course. Another key point I want us to be aware of is that when you are taking a course with the orientation of developing a hard skill, please ensure that you do not focus on the certificate. The certificate does not impart the hard skill. The learning process in itself is what imparts the hard skill. So focus on learning. The certificate is an attestation that you have learned. Some of us get it all wired up. We are so quick to get the certificate that we are not learning the specific hard skill. Another point I want to address when it comes to taking a course is that when you are taking a course, ensure that you complete a project. It's a must, especially when you are focusing on hard skill. At the conclusion of the course, request from the facilitator a project that will help you practice that skill. If you are not going to go through that route, if they don't have a project, then create a project for yourself. And it is far more important that you complete a project than being focused on a certificate. So your task that I'm going to leave you with, research on a course that you are going to take that will help you gain the hard skill. Once you find this course, preferably a course that is instructor-led. That means there is a facilitator that you can engage with. Once you find the course, complete the course, and most importantly, complete a project. Another concept I want us to focus on, I would say, be the idiot in the room. I got this concept while listening to an interview that Kevin Hart did. But then I realized that it actually applies to me. What does it mean? So when you are in a room and someone is explaining a concept and you are not familiar with that concept, ask questions and don't pretend like you know what is being discussed. Somebody comes to you with an investment plan and then the person says, I want you to invest in treasury bill and do not do an equity investment so that you can 10x your capital. Yeah, right. You have used all that big grammar. I'm definitely not investing. Wait till I don't understand. Then I have to put my money. This is how I'm going to fold my hands and I'm looking at you. Treasury bills, equity investments, 10x your capital. It sounds so good. I when they're looking cozy, I put my money inside. God help you. That's where you become the idiot in the room. And what I want you to do at that point in time is to say, until I am fully clear of what exactly you have just said, you are not going forward. So you tend to be a fool. Some of us want to prove that we know, and anytime you do that, you are not learning. So when somebody is explaining something, probe, ask. The more the terminology, more complex the terminology, the more you must express your idiot capacity, that package. And as you probe and let people know that you're like that we are not going to move forward if I do not understand what you're saying. And only then, when you embrace that, you will become exceptional in terms of knowledge acquisition. Does it make sense to us?
Yes.
Like, you get what I'm trying to explain, yeah? Yeah. Be the fool in the room. They don't know what it is. You're investing in something that you don't know what it is. And it's more prevalent with young people nowadays. That's the perception to look like I know. But you don't know. So your task that I'm going to give you, anytime you're in a presentation or a discussion like this, ask at least 5 questions until they tell you to stop. That your own is too much. Demonstrate your idiot capacity until they tell you to what? To stop. Always ensure that you ask questions. Don't pretend like, oh, I got this. You got nothing. Now, to acquire hard skills, I want to discuss what I call deliberate practice. Practice makes you a professional. And then you can employ the idea of deliberate practice for the acquisition of your hard skills. Let's take football as an example. And I like what they do there. Football is a high performance sport. And what you see in football is that during the week, they would train using drills, and then they will repeat those drills over and over again. And then at the weekend, they would execute those drills during a game. And this is what I want you to embrace when it comes to your hard skill acquisition. You must learn how to turn your skill development into drills. Then you can then deploy the job. So I'm going to give you a list of examples of a job role, a skill set, and how to turn it into a drill. Can we go? Okay. Job role 1, human resources. Skill, performance management process design. The drill, appraisal flowchart challenge. Design a complete complaint performance review cycle flowchart from goal setting to final review and potential outcomes. You can then use peer review to review the flowchart for clarity and compliance with best practices. Role 2, sales qualification methodology using BANT, qualifying blitz. Role play, 10 rapid fire sales calls using a structured qualification framework, which is budget, authority, need, and timeline. A mentor or a peer acts as a prospect and provides immediate feedback on the adherence to the process and effective questioning. Role 3, marketing. Marketing campaign planning is a skill. Situation analysis. You can conduct what we call SWOT sprints. Given a hypothetical product or market scenario, conduct a full SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, and 4 P's, product, price, promotion, and place analysis within a 60-minute time limit. Compare results with a peer or an expert review. Now, the list can go on and on, but the idea is that you must recognize your job role, the specific skill that you want to improve on, and then turn it into what? A drill. So a drill is like a simulation where you are practicing that thing before you deploy it on the job. If I were to be a cook, for example, I could use a drill system. So I'll be cooking small soups for test. Are we together? So that I can perfect my, maybe with my measurements and quantity and all that. Does it make sense to us? Okay. So your task for the week that I'll give you, choose a particular skill of yours and then plan a drill for every week. So one skill must be what? Practice as a drill every week. Okay. So I want to discuss how I use resources. It might differ for you. The first resource I want to explain is a book or books. So when I'm starting up a new hard skill, I don't start with a book. Where do I use a book? I use a book for mastery. That means I already have a very good understanding of that hard skill, but I want to raise my level. That's when I usually use a book. So I find specific books that speak to specific capabilities, and then that's when I use a book. And I like using books because I like the idea of books engraved in my brain as against to videos at times. So what books do is that when I read them, like as if you are engraving it, not like as if you are using marker to write it. So the information I extract, because it's a slow burn, sticks further. And then I close a page, then I work on what I'm doing. So I use books for mastery. Then peer-to-peer learning. In peer-to-peer learning is exactly what I'm going to do in Kenya. So people think that this Kenya I'm the one going to teach. No, I'm putting together 5 of us that are CEOs and founders. And I want to hear what you're doing in your field, so that I want to use it to also elevate what I'm doing in my field. So you get people in the same domain as you, and then you challenge and rub minds to elevate your insights. Another one is learn from a mentor. Do not be pompous and arrogant. That means find a mentor, someone that has been on this journey, and then watch. Interestingly, I have a distant mentor in Diary of a CEO. That's the podcast that I like watching. And then I learned a lot from Stephen Bartlett. I'm older than him, but in the podcasting work, he's far more advanced than me. So find what? A mentor. I use Sam Adeyemi as my teaching mentor as well. I look at how he teaches and how he delivers his message. Then use YouTube for focused skill. Use YouTube for what? So if you want to learn maybe into video production, I want to learn maybe sequence or camera angles, this is what I then do. Watch 10 YouTube videos on camera sequence. As you watch, you implement. As you watch, you implement. But you must watch what? 10. Before you get to 10, expert level is beginning to manifest. Hold on, please. Then use generative AI for detailed explanation. One of the best things that happened in this world. So you tell ChatGPT, explain this concept to me with 5 different examples. Then provide application opportunities. So that's how I use different resources. So I've come to the end of this podcast, but then I have an important information to pass. So I'm going to be going on a trip to Kenya, and then I will not be available. So this is the last episode for this year, and we'll be meeting next year again. So big thank you to everyone. As we're closing out, if it's possible, I might be able to shoot one more episode, but as it stands now, this is the last episode for this year. Thank you very much and stay blessed. I remain your host, Deola Badmus.